Welcome back with a record purchases video, the first in quite some time. I think the last must have been like 2 months ago or something like that. I bought some records and I bought records by three artists: Joni Mitchell, Joan Armatrading and Kate Bush. Those are three of my, I would say, four favorite female pop artists of all time. Björk from Iceland would complete my top four. Maybe I'll do a top 10 favorite female artists of all time, pop artists ranking one day to put it all in order. But it was just mere coincidence that the three artists I bought records by were female artists. I was the least familiar with Joni Mitchell, so I also was the most curious about those records. I already had two albums of Joni Mitchell before, Chord and Spark from I think 1974, and I think from 1988, what's it called, Chalk Mark in Rainstorm. These two albums, if you want to know what Joni Mitchell is about, they don't make it easy for you because they're so different from each other. This is really a total 80s kind of sounding album. It reminds me a bit of an album like Hounds of Love by Kate Bush, which is interesting because Kate Bush was clearly influenced, early in her career was influenced by Joni Mitchell. And this is like Joni Mitchell now being influenced by Kate Bush. And this is the first album by Joni Mitchell that went a bit away from this, what people associate with her early career, that folk singer-songwriter, musician. This is more like a almost jazz rock album. And both albums are great, and they really sparked my interest because they're so not alike. They're so different from each other, and also so different from her well-known earlier songs. So I thought, very interesting artist. So to get more of a sense of her early career, I bought this collection of her first four albums that came out between 1968 and 1971. I was already familiar with one of those, which is probably the most famous of those albums, Blue. I had Blue when I was I think I bought it when I was 13 or 14 years old. And I have to say, at that age, that I wasn't ready for that kind of music, so I gave it to my mother. I thought my mother would enjoy this, and I think my mother liked it. But to me, this was when I was 13, 14, and I was in the middle of my Oasis, being an Oasis fan kind of guy. I really wasn't ready for that, and it was kind of boring to me. But now, as a 41-year-old, I have to say this was brilliant. I really fell in love with this album, but the weird thing is I even preferred the other three albums. And my favorite of those is this one, Ladies from the Canyon. It's also kind of a classic, but I never had heard it before last week when these albums arrived. It's fantastic, it's a masterpiece. And I once did my top 50 favorite albums of the 70s, and if I would do this video again, this would definitely be in my top 50 albums of the 70s. It's from 1970. Great albums, and this was so great to me to discover her as an artist now, that I also bought her kind of retrospective. I'm not sure if you can call it a best of. It was compiled by her herself. It includes some of her biggest classics, but also some, I would say, hidden gems that she thinks would be great on such a compilation. Dreamland from I think 2004. Brilliant. I'm now a really big fan of Joni Mitchell. Two artists I already was a big fan of were Kate Bush and Joan Armatrading. And there are two Kate Bush albums I've never owned yet. I've listened to one of those two on Spotify many years ago, and I thought it's probably my least favorite of her albums. It's 50 Words for Snow. Now I finally own this album also. And the last missing link, the last thing she released that I didn't have yet was Director's Cut, where she re-recorded some tracks from the Blood Red Shoes and Essential World albums. I think she thought, maybe rightfully so, that those sound very dated, those late 80s, early 90s sound things. I'm a big fan of the Sensual World, so I wouldn't really need a remake of those songs. I kind of agree with Blood Red Shoes. I haven't yet listened to this album, so it's still have to listen to it. Yeah, but now I completed my Kate Bush collection, and 2 albums I already had on CD by another one of my favorite female singer-songwriters, Joan Armatrading. Me, Myself, I, which is probably her most successful, most well-known album, and To the Limit. Both these albums I had on CD. Both I would say are Joan Armatrading classics. I once ranked all Joan Armatrading albums, and both albums did make my top 10 of like 20 albums, and I think this made my number 3. Yes, it made my number 3 favorite Joan Armatrading album. So after some testosterone heavy Britpop, Brit rock, Oasis videos, now this video, so it's like the yin and yang of my music fan life. I really got more and more disgusted by the whole Oasis reunion thing, some aspects of it, the cynical commercial nature of it. My previous video is about that, so I had for my own sake to go into another direction now with these purchases, and yeah, you know, I was, like I said in the beginning, I always respected Joni Mitchell and was kind of a fan of her, but now after listening to all these early albums that I wasn't totally familiar with yet, and her compilation Dreamland, I'm really a big fan now. It's really great that at 41 years of age you still can discover a legacy artist, not like a newcomer. That's also something that's possible, but after all these years as a record collector and a music fan, to discover an artist you already knew but really fall in love with an artist, that's great. So thank you very much for watching. Until next time, goodbye.